Today, we're going to explore a very specific method for staying clear-headed when you're under pressure. It's drawn from Awaraikido principles, and it's all about grounding yourself, but without using force. So let's just paint a picture. Imagine you're in a really critical meeting. You know the kind. The stakes are high, a big project's on the line, maybe you're dealing with a tough conversation.
And in that moment, you can feel it, right? Your awareness just gets pulled. It gets yanked toward the deadline, or the pressure from others in the room, maybe even that nagging threat of failure. You're being pulled off center. Now, the first question we usually ask is, how do I calm down? But that's not actually the most useful question. The real question, the one we're digging into here, is this. How do you act with clarity right in that moment while the pressure is still on? So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at what we mean by pressure and perceptual tilt. Then, we'll get into the really crucial difference between recenter and recovery. After that, we'll walk through a super practical method called the minimal recenter sequence, explain why it actually works, and finally, wrap up with what it means to take action from center.
All right, first up, pressure and perceptual tilt. Before we talk about a solution, we have to get really clear on the problem we're trying to solve. And that core problem has a name, perceptual tilt. You can think of it as a state where your awareness gets pulled away from a stable center because of some kind of pressure. Time, people, a threat. And when that happens, it literally distorts how you see things and how you make decisions. So when we feel this tilt, what do we usually do? Our first instinct is almost always to try and calm down, right? Or we try to push our emotions down or force ourselves into a better mindset. But the approach we're talking about today completely flips that. It says your orientation, your position, comes first. Your emotional state is secondary. And that brings us to our second section. And this is maybe the most important distinction in this entire explainer. Recenter versus recovery. These two things are not the same. Let's look at them side by side. Recenter is something you do during the pressure. Its only job is to restore your orientation. Recovery, on the other hand, is for after the pressure is off. Its job is to restore your energy and capacity. The goal of recentering is just accurate perception, right now. The goal of recovery is to release all that built-up load. You can see one takes seconds and the other requires real time and space. They are totally different tools for totally different jobs. So let's be crystal clear about this. When we talk about this kind of recentering, we are not talking about meditation. It's not a relaxation technique. It's not breathwork. It isn't positive thinking or processing your feelings. And most importantly, it is not recovery. Think of it as a quick, positional correction you do while you're still in motion. Okay, so what does it actually look like? How do you do it? Let's get into the practical method, the minimal recenter sequence. The whole process is designed to be incredibly simple, so it doesn't add to your mental load. Step 1, just internally, silently name the tilt. Is it time, social, threat? Step 2, locate your physical center. Just feel your feet on the floor. This is a positional anchor, not an emotional one. Step 3, widen your perception. Become aware of the room, the sounds, the space around you. Step 4, ask yourself one question. Does this need to happen right now? Don't even answer it, just ask. And finally, step 5, you can now choose to proceed or pause. It's an intentional choice, not one being driven by the pressure. And this really gets to the heart of it all. The idea is to recenter before you act, not so you can feel better, but so you can see accurately. Clarity is the goal here. Feeling better might be a side effect, but it's not the purpose. Accuracy is the purpose. So that brings up the question, how on earth does such a simple little sequence actually work to restore clarity? Let's get into the mechanics. Okay, so when you're under pressure, that tilt causes what's called perceptual compression. You get tunnel vision, basically. Your focus just narrows down to the threat. Well, that third step in the sequence, widening your perception, directly counters this. It restores your perceptual width. Tilt also makes time feel like it's speeding up. Everything feels way more urgent than it probably is. That's time acceleration. So that simple act of asking about the timing in step 4, it doesn't stop the clock, but it restores a sense of proportion to that feeling of urgency. And finally, tilt, well, it pushes you. It creates this reactive state where you feel like you have to do something right now. The sequence as a whole just interrupts that push. It gives you a moment to restore choice. You're no longer just reacting. You're able to respond deliberately. And, the key to all of this is that you don't have to use any force. You're not trying to fight your feelings or suppress your stress. You're just correcting your perceptual position. And that's why it can be done so quickly and without a huge effort. All right, our final section, action from center. How does this all come together and what's the big takeaway?
This is especially critical if you're in any kind of leadership role. Why? Because your orientation spreads to your team. Your sense of timing and urgency sets the pace for everyone. And if you're operating from a state of tilt, you are literally amplifying stress through the entire system.
And that really leads us to the closing philosophy of this whole framework. It says that this isn't about teaching people to control themselves. It's about teaching them how to return to the place where control naturally exists. It's a shift from forcing control to just finding it again.
And the thing is, when you make that simple return to center, you don't have to go looking for clarity. You don't have to manufacture it or force it. It just follows automatically.